Hello everyone, I'm Steph from OpenVC, and today I'm going to show you how to raise funds without intros. I'm going to try to show you the steps, but also give you tools and templates so that it's really actionable for you as you raise funds. So let's get started. First point is the process. So there are four ways that you can access investors. Inbound, intros, existing network, and outreach. Now, warm intros, of course, is the most talked about. That's when someone that you know introduces you to a potential investor. And because of that trust, the pre-existing trust, it's more likely to be successful. However, inbound is also a very interesting one that is not much talked about. Inbound is when an investor reaches out to you directly, so you don't have anything to do. Now, it feels like magic. It's not. There is a bit of work behind it, and we're going to see that in a minute. The third one, existing network, is, well, if you are a serial founder and you already have an investor network, if you have worked in the VC space, so you know the people there. But also, if you're just a normal person, and you don't work in that space, but you still have a network that you can leverage. Everybody has a network, and we'll see in a minute how you can do that. And the last one, of course, is outreach. That's the one we also called cold email, and it's the one that has a bad rep. Because a lot of bad founders spam investors with, not so great opportunities, and they ruin the game for everyone. Now today, I'm going to try and show you how to do it right and how to increase your odds. But just to be clear, it's still a challenge, and the likelihood of success is not super high. But let's see how we can improve that. Let's start with this framework that I really like. I call it the You, Your Mom, and Marc Andreessen graph. Marc Andreessen is, of course, one of the most famous VC investors in the world. When I work with founders, they are about to start raising funds. I like to have them put their connections and their network on two axes. One, the vertical one, is prestige, how prestigious the person is. And this matters because prestigious investors, big names, attract more money, attract more investors. And the second axis is distance, which means how close you are to that person. Do you have easy access to them or not? So in that case, for example, your mom is low prestige, low distance, which is usually, hopefully, the case for everyone. And Marc Andreessen, of course, high prestige, high distance. And your network most likely is going to line up, as a 45-degree line, and people will be scattered alongside that line more or less. So that's the theory. Now let's look at practical examples of that. And this is all based on real examples that I've seen actually work. So your bottom left, this is you here. First thing you're gonna do, you're gonna go to your mom or to your uncle or whoever, friends, high school friends, whatever, to get first few checks. But your network is not just that. Maybe if you've been to college, a college professor that you really liked, he may become an investor. Something that I've seen a lot also is your ex-boss. You used to work with him, you used to work for him, you left the company to start your own business, but you're still in good terms. And most likely the startup you're building has something to do with that industry, right? And so they get what you're building, there is pre-existing trust. And especially if you've been working in a small company and had direct access to the owner, they can be interested in investing. Also partly because of tax incentives for them to invest. So they're going to put, 10K, 15K, 20K. Great. And then what happens, it's the magic kicks in because investors invest in pack. They are, social animals. So your boss, if he invests, he surely has investing buddies. They have a WhatsApp group. They talk deals. They exchange deal flow. So he's going to tell his buddies, hey, look, guys, I'm putting 10K in this guy. I've worked with him. He's great. I completely get what he's doing. Do you want to join in? And that's how you do the warm intro thing. Now let's look at inbound. Another example I see quite often, actually, is the beta tester thing. So the guy found you on Product Hunt, tried your product, loved it, happens to be angel investing on the side. And so he's going to put 5K for you and then probably introduce you to his buddies as well. Another thing is maybe you reach out to these testers because they are a company and they tried your product for a few months as a pilot. They tried your MVP. They like it. Again, they understand the space. They want to be part of it. again, this is typical of like smaller companies where they can make decisions and the owner is still at the head of the whole thing. And they're going to invest. And that's basically how it works. So before we move to the cold email thing, I just want to give quick advice on those 3 approaches to make sure you get it right. Quick advice number 1 for existing network. Small checks are fine. 1K checks are perfectly fine. There was a time when we used to say you need a minimum check size. This is not the case anymore. And actually, the value of small checks is that they may bring bigger checks. 1K checks bring 5K checks, and they bring 10K checks, etc., etc. And then when you start putting it that way, you realize that you have more than you think. You realize that a lot of people around you maybe cannot invest 50K, but they can probably invest 1 or 2K, and then bring in their uncle, their boss, their colleagues, their whoever of their network into the project as well. So that's how you maximize the existing network. Second one, inbound. Not magic. You have to be active. You have to work for it. And so what you have to do is be opinionated and present and share your thesis and what you're building on relevant spaces where investors are. And so depending on your business, it may be Reddit, Slack groups, Product Hunt, of course. Twitter is, it's a VC nest, so that's really, I'd say it's a must for everybody. Medium, Discord, especially if you're in Web3, and Hacker News. These are a few examples. There may be some other ones that are specific to your industry. And the last one is warm intros. So just one thing on warm intro. A warm intro is not just someone forwarding his email to somebody else and say, hey, look at that. A great warm intro comes from someone who really kind of supports and commits to what you're doing. And the best way they can do that is if they invest themselves. So a great warm intro is when someone, just like in the example I gave before, someone is investing and then is sharing with somebody else he knows and say, hey, look, I'm investing in this. I think it's great what they're doing. How about you take a look at it and maybe do this with us? Now think about it the other way. If I share a deal with someone and I'm not investing myself, what kind of message does it send? It's not great, because if it's a good deal, I would invest. So you could almost say that an intro from someone who is not investing is actually a bad signal. So this is how you do network inbound intros. Think about it for a minute. Have you maximized all of that? If not, you probably want to do that first, because what we're going to see next about the cold emails, it is the last resort. It is when you have exhausted all your previous options. Because yes, for a lot of people actually, this pink area here is enough to fill their angel round or their pre-seed round. Now for some people, they're going to need more, and they're going to need to go into that white area, which is the area of outbound and the area of cold emails. Maybe because they need more money, they couldn't gather enough with the pink area, or maybe because they want specific people on the cap table, people that add specific value that makes sense for their business. And to do that, to be able to access that white area, we're going to need something called signal. So let's look at that. And that's the second part of the presentation, signal.